Hello, it is Throwback Thursday, July 18th, 2024. Steve Sipress here. And here in the U.S., every 4 years, we have a presidential election. In every other year, we have all kinds of other elections. But every 4 years, we have the big ones for the president. And that means that we have conventions of the two major parties. These are week-long, big affairs where the delegates who are technically voting to nominate their party's candidate come in from all over the country, and they bring in all kinds of speakers, politicians, celebrities, everyday people, all kinds of people come in, and it's pretty much a week-long celebration of everything each party is about. So this week, we have the Republican convention, and about a month from now, we'll have the 4-day, week-long, basically, Democratic, whatever they call it, party convention. And now by then, of course, we'll know who the candidate is. Undoubtedly, I'll give you a hint, it's not going to be someone with dementia. And so a month ought to be plenty of time for them to figure things out and get straight and get the party all planned and do the old nomination/coronation of the president and vice president. But this week you're seeing the Republican Party, and if you pay attention, I love this stuff. I look at politics, if you know me, just like sports. It's a fun spectator thing to watch. I don't care who you root for. It doesn't really matter who wins. As far as in business, we have techniques and strategies and tactics that work in tough economic times like this, high inflationary times that we've been going through for years, in boom times, in between times. I mean, I built my first multi-million-dollar business back in the 1980s, where mortgage rates were 18% and interest rates were sky high and the economy was stagnant and all that kind of stuff. So, and then I've built other companies during boom times like the 1990s and so forth. And so there are always cycles. It's important to identify which one. In business, you can always take actions, strategies based on what the economy's like. So it really doesn't matter for business purposes. Although overall, I will say big corporations, big businesses, you see, they're all jumping aboard the Trump train now that it seems almost certain, at least until the chaos is figured out with the Democrat Party, that Trump is going to win the election. So you see all kinds of big money and big corporations just piling on because it's not so much that they hope or root for who's going to win, but they want to be on the side of the winner. So when the winner gets into office, can start giving back and doling out all kinds of benefits. And besides, most of all, big business loves innovation, which is the opposite of regulation. Regulation stifles growth and innovation. So Trump, of course, last time he cut regulations massively. This time he'll likely do a lot more if he gets in there. And so businesses are betting on that, and they're loving it because that means we're in for boom economic times. But here's the message I want to convey here for marketers, and it has to do with the first letter, first W of the WOW strategy that I created, and to learn more about it and how it can multiply your results of the money-getting aspects of your business, sales, marketing, advertising, almost immediately. In fact, pretty much immediately. If you put anything I'm going to teach you into action, just go to my website, WOW strategy.com. You can start out with a free video, and I can get you a bunch more resources too that'll help you out. If you're doing okay and you want to do better, if you're just starting out and you want to do great, if you're not doing good and you want to turn that around, that's the place to go, WOWstrategy.com. But the first W stands for your ideal target who, and you want to really get to know them and know what they're all about. And good news and bad news, you got to pick one. So the good news is you get to choose who is your ideal target who. The bad news is you do have to choose. And you see it fantastically on display all this week at the Republican convention. You'll see it in a month for the Democrat convention, that with all the different speakers and all the speeches and all the hoopla and the videos and whatever's going on, it all surrounds just a few topics. What do they call them in politics? Man, I'm drawing a blank. They call them issues, right? They call them political issues that the leaders of the party, in this case Donald Trump, considers are important to the members of the party. And the Democrats will do the same in a month. They'll be completely different issues that they're going to highlight with all the speakers and all the everything and all the speeches will talk about what they feel is important to their voters. Now, here's the thing. It seems like it's a number of different issues, right? For the Republicans this week, it's all about getting the economy back on track, ending these ridiculous people dying in foreign wars and American tax dollars going to fund them, more safety, less crime, close up that illegal immigration going on at the southern border, peace, strength, prosperity, strong defense. Republicans like spending a lot of money on defense. However, at least Donald Trump's case, he is the most anti-war president, certainly in my lifetime. So while he likes building up the military and buying all kinds of armaments, he does not like using them. And as a result, lots of people dying. However, the Republicans like those basic things. Now, sounds like a number of different issues, and you'll see in about a month the Democrats will harp on their main issues that, a woman's right to choose as far as abortion goes, all humans' right to choose as far as one of 470,000 different genders they like to choose and what bathrooms they like to dress in and what sport teams they like to play on. It's all their choice. And if they want to, lop off private parts of their kids, or the kids want to do without the parents' permission in some case, that's their choice. All kinds of more social issues going to be more geared to the Democrat, which is pretty much now a leftist agenda, leftist party, right? Big government, central control, and the dream that somehow the world is just one big happy family, where when I was a kid, I was taught and I was indoctrinated into this Democrat side of things, the leftist side of things. And but before I get to that, which is the Throwback Thursday part of it, I'm going to throw it back to my childhood, my upbringing. But I'm going to talk about the fact that all these issues really come down to just two major issues, and this is how you want to get really good in your business, of focusing on the core values, which sometimes, like with these two parties, really come down to one core value of your ideal target, the ideal person or business that you want to do business with you. So for the Republican side, the conservative side, it's all me focused. What's best for me? I want more money in my pocket. I want to have an easier lifestyle. I want my tax dollars. First of all, I want less of them to go to the government overall, and I want less of those to go to foreign countries to secure their borders. I want to secure our borders, my country, my borders. I want to be safe when I walk down the street. So what do people want for the Republican Party? It's all me, me, as Ayn Rand called selfish. Has a bad connotation, but it really means voting in your own personal best interests. Whereas on the leftist side, it's all about self-sacrificing for the greater good. And by the way, each party has a hard time even understanding why the other party would be like that. So the leftist Democrat Party can't believe that people would be so selfish, and they think nationalistic is a dirty word, to put their country first, their family first, to put their pocketbook first, when they really could be doing the greater good for all of society, which when I was growing up pretty much meant maybe your community, your family, maybe your country, but now it means the whole world. So you see the term being thrown around, the globalists, right? Because now we certainly are more than ever, and I don't see any chance of it stopping, a very interwoven global world society, at least economically, where goods are made and shipped and bought and sold all over the world. There really are not a lot of borders for international trade that way. All countries depend on other countries for all kinds of goods and services. But as far as pride and nationalism, well, that's a conservative issue and a viewpoint now. And the liberal leftist viewpoint for the Democratic Party is, no, sacrifice what's good for you for what's good for the greater world, for people you never met, you're never going to met, you don't even know, you couldn't even put their, place their countries on a map. So how dare you think, Republicans, that your money, you should pay less taxes and more money should stay in your pocket. We believe that more money should go to foreign countries and to secure their borders and to fund wars in those foreign countries. We should intervene all over the world and have troops all over the world and bring democracy to all over the world. That's what we should do. Also, the social issues, like you should be one big happy family with open borders, and we should let everybody in, and we shouldn't jail anybody. No matter what they do wrong, it's bad. Oh, it's racist. It's bad to put people in prison. That's a bad thing. Let's empty out the prisons. Let's not prosecute people, because we want it to be one big happy family. And besides, the people that are being prosecuted and going into prison, it's not their fault. It's overall society's fault. We've got to make society a much nicer, calmer, gentler, more inviting, better place. Now, you would think that this might only happen with people, but even if you are marketing products or services from business to business, B2B, it's known as, understand that companies, a while back, not too long ago, would be unheard of that they would be thinking about anything on the leftist side. Companies, by definition, should be all about generating as much good for themselves as possible, which means for their shareholders. They should be generating revenue and profit and creating jobs and growing their businesses for the sake of their businesses. But you've seen in recent years all this ESG, DEI, woke stuff about, well, we shouldn't hire people who are the best for the positions. We should hire certain people who we see as victims of past wrongs or societal wrongs so that we can do good. And we can, you saw this man with the the ex-president assassination last weekend with these clearly DEI, ESG, whatever you want to call them, woke hires of people completely unfit for the job, just not big enough to cover over the president while they took him off the stage. I saw one big guy in the back had to put his elbow up over the top of the head of somebody who was kind of short, like a foot shorter than Trump. Trump's a big guy, and therefore couldn't cover him up in case there were other shooters around. I mean, that's just an example. And there's videos, of course, of the head of the Secret Service saying that was her goal. Hire more people that are not necessarily the right or the best skilled or qualified for the position, but just people who historically, I guess it's a wrong thing that we haven't had as many women. There's pretty much all men in the Secret Service, and we should just have more women. Without regard, not saying we should have qualified women who can put a gun in a holster, who will not cower in fear and back down and hide behind Secret Service agents who are covering up Trump after he gets shot, or who too short to cover him up as they walk across the stage and then acting in a panic when they get to the van to take him out. I mean, just totally unqualified. However, check the box of, yeah, but they're women and that was our goal. So companies do have these leftist goals of doing good for the general good instead of what's best for them. So you've really got to know this, and there are all kinds of ways to market to people and to businesses. I have been a part of things like the Do Good, Make Money and Do Good Summit, things like that. So you can gather together a whole tribe of people that believe that what they should do is build a business because it's they're giving and serving other people, and it's what's good for general humanity, and they can change the world. And so that's other issues you're going to see there on the leftist side, this climate change. Ignore all the facts, but it's a really great story. If it were true, I mean, it's a great story. It sounds so nice that somehow humans are causing temperatures to rise, and therefore we caused it, we can solve it by, again, going against our best interests, driving cars that are more expensive, less efficient, that, to mine the materials needed, for instance, for the big batteries for solar panels or electric cars. You got to have child labor, and then the disposing these things. There are vast, graveyards of electric cars in foreign countries because they don't know how to dispose of these batteries, or they're really bad for the environment in the long term. However, just such a good story. It just sounds so good. Oh, I figured it out. See, man is driving cars or eating beef or whatever nonsense they can come up with that's so anti-scientific, but again, such a good story. So if we all just band together and sacrifice, we eat less, we enjoy our life less, we drive less, we drive not as far as we could, we don't have as much freedom, but we're doing it for the greater good. That's what you're going to see in a month with the Democratic Party, and the Republicans, the conservatives, are going to be in disbelief of I can't believe people are going to vote against their best interest. They want higher gas prices. They want less money in their pocket. They want higher taxes. Yeah, they do, because they have been conditioned to believe that somehow self-sacrificing for the general good of other people is the highest calling. I was brought up this way. So this is akin to, in sports and baseball, we have something called the sacrifice, the bunt. It's a sacrifice hit. It means you give yourself up and you purposely make an out. You don't even try to get a hit. You don't try to get a homer. You don't do anything to be good for yourself, because if you hit more homers and get more hits, you can make more money in your next salary negotiation. No, that's very selfish. No. In this case, we want to do what's best for the team. So we're going to give ourselves up in a sacrifice, and we're going to bunt and purposely get out just so another player on our team can run to a further base. Well, I looked it up because I was trying to get the exact number of sacrifice hits, and all I could get was a team by team, and it seemed like there's only about a dozen, 15 or so on the average a year for a team, where there used to be like 3, 4, 5 times as much. And there was one article said that the sacrifice hit has been steady in decline since 1945 in Major League Baseball. You almost never now, especially with the pitchers don't even bat anymore. So there's almost nobody who's such a bad hitter that the coach says, you know what, you're so bad that I want you to just give yourself up and sacrifice for the greater good of the team and for some other player who can move to another base and score a run, and then when it comes time for his contract negotiation, run scored. Oh, he can, that's a good stat, that he can make more money and be more of a star, and he gets to cross the plate and get the high fives and get the accolades and get his photo in the newspaper and all the crowd cheers when he crosses the plate. But you, no. You're going to give yourself up and sacrifice and just go back to the dugout and sit down and shut up. And then cheer when the guy you sacrifice for, something good happens to him. That's the sacrifice world that I grew up believing and being taught that was good. I remember I didn't learn this lesson until I was in law school. And I think it was the second year of law school, and people were starting to talk about, what kind of law you want to practice, what do you want to do. And I remember at lunch saying to one of my buddies, hey, maybe I'll go work for the ACLU. The American Civil Liberties Union. They do such, back then they did. Now they're horrible. But back then, this is 40-something years ago, they were decent. At least they were properly focused on what their charter says, which is helping out people who are getting their civil rights stepped on. They step in and sue to maintain their civil rights. Now they're an anti-free speech organization, which is unbelievably a 180 flip, which is really sad, because they used to be the big champion of free speech. Now they're the big champion of, oh no, the science is settled, you'll believe what the government tells you and shut up, which is too bad, but that is the leftist point of view, and they've always been a leftist organization, where lawyers will not make a lot of money, and therefore not have, all the finer things in life, and the finer cars and trips and vacations and savings and money in the bank and better food to eat and go out to better places and wear better clothes. No. We will sacrifice for the greater good. So when I said that, my buddy, who was a conservative, was aghast. He was like, what are you talking? What would you do that for? You're telling me you're going to go work for some ridiculous self-sacrificing, and that's why you're going through 3 years of law school and you're paying all the tuition to then go sacrifice yourself for the greater good somehow? And I was like, well, I'd never heard anybody talk that way. So I started to look into it, and I realized there is this second school of thought, and maybe the way I was brought up to be all self-sacrificing and self-defeating for the greater good, there was another way of looking at the world. And maybe if everyone just did what was best for themselves, that by definition would end up being what's best overall for society and for the world. Who knows? Anyway, you'll see when you really get into examining your ideal who, your target market, as some people call it, the ideal customer, client, patient, member that you want to do business with you, when you really get deep down into what's called their psychographics, not their surface demographics, oh, they make this much money and they're this age and they're single or divorced or married or whatever. It's their deep down psychographics. What do they think? What do they feel? How do they act? What are their goals? Are they self-sacrificing, believing, I want to pay higher taxes because somehow I think that's doing better for the greater good, even though it's worse for me? And not realizing that a lot of that just gets skimmed right into the pockets of the corrupt politicians and big corporations, and before any of that money sees any good. A lot of people are just skimming that right off the top. The people that are acting in their own extreme self-interest, the cheaters and the criminals act in their extreme self-interest against society. You don't have to go that far. But if you act in your own self-interest, a lot of people do, that's different than people who self-sacrifice. Now, as an aside, we are coming up to the Olympics, coming up, I think this week it starts. And I'm always amazed that any leftists at all can enjoy the Olympics. The Olympics is extremely conservative, right-leaning, nationalistic. Everyone's wearing their country's flag on their uniform. And if they win, they're hoisting their flag and playing their national anthem. There's very few that will protest and kneel for their national anthem or that nonsense. It's very nationalistic. People will run around the track after they win the race, holding their nation's flag. They'll walk into the opening ceremonies very proudly, holding their flag, all dressed the same for their country. Not for the globe, not for the overall, ooh, John Lennon, wouldn't it be nice if you could imagine there were no borders and there are no governments and there are no countries and everyone just la-di-da. Well, as long as there are evil nations, especially to the U.S., that hate us and other free countries like Iran and China and South Korea and Russia, and they come and go, who knows which is next. I mean, there's minor ones like Cuba, Venezuela, but those are the major ones. As long as they're around looking to do bad and hate the civilized world, we can't have John Lennon's Imagine One Big Happy Family World. And yet there's people that'll still, and you can't fault for them, that's what they believe, you can't fault them, they will still work towards that ideal. They will self-sacrifice, and they can be encouraged to take action based on not what's best for them, but what's best for the greater good. So you want to know that, because that's how you want to market to those people, and you can learn a lot about them watching these conventions here in the U.S. of the two major parties, the right and the left. They're tedious, it's tough to watch. Hope maybe you have it on the background, or maybe you just watch clips of it, or read the transcripts or something, because it's a week long of the same thing over and over and over. Especially if you're on the other side of any of these issues, I can guess it would be tough to watch speaker after speaker, and the whole audience cheering after cheering of things that you just don't like, you disagree with, because you're on the other side. But for your business, for your marketing education, you really ought to check these out just to learn what's going through the minds of people. And then you'll see, thanks to social media, easier and quicker and better than ever before, you will see comments from the other side. So all week long, you can see comments from the leftists about how bad the Republicans are, how bad this convention is, this, that, whatever. So you really get a good insight, and getting a really good, fantastic, awesome insight into your ideal who that you want to do business with you is the number one starting point to having success, massive success. I don't mean just dribbling little success. The phone rings once in a while, or you get a client here or there, or you're losing money on your advertising and you don't know what's working and what's not. I mean massive success, basically printing money. The key to that is a deep, deep dive into the psychographics, the psychology, the human behavioral psychology of your ideal target market. If you want help with that, go to thewowstrategy.com, email me, steve@stevesipress.com. I'd be open to taking some time, get on the phone and help you out, or in a text message or email or whatever it is. You can also get a hold of me with a private message wherever you're getting this, watching it, reading it, listening to it, post a comment, whatever it is. And also, please like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Long rant today on Throwback Thursday. Throwing it way back to my childhood, believing one way, not even knowing there was another way to think and view the world. Think about and view the world. That'll do it for today. Thanks for being here on Throwback Thursday, July 18th, 2024. From beautiful, sunny, and hot Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona, signing off for today. Thanks for being here today, and I'll catch you tomorrow on Foundation Friday.